The conversation turned to Hilton's on-screen persona, where she talks either in a baby voice,
I'm going to name her Lady Coco Chanel,
or in a tone somewhere between a whine and a whisper.
No.
Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. Paris Hilton has been saying since 2011 that her baby voice was created for her character on The Simple Life. But since she played that character for 5 years, she sometimes finds it hard to control.
Definitely. I think it's a character that I developed for The Simple Life. They wanted someone who is an airhead and kind of had the baby voice, so that's a character that I had to do and continue to do for 5 seasons. So sometimes when I'm on camera, I'll revert back to it a little bit just because I'm so used to it because I did it for so long.
Now, 13 years later, everyone is still talking about Paris Hilton's voice switching.
I remember something people were so fascinated by was like when you kind of talked about like the 2 different like voices you will use. And I'm curious, like, how do you decide when to do which voice?
It's something that I've been doing for so long that I can't even like control it. Like when I get shy, the voice will go up higher, but sometimes I have to tell myself like, Paris, just talk in your normal voice.
As someone who helps trans people create speaking voices that bring them safety and comfort, it's my personal mission to normalize speaking voice alteration and to bring to light that it is a perfectly normal part of the human experience. And Paris Hilton is a really great example of this. Paris Hilton was the original influencer, creating a huge brand in the 2000s based around her it girl persona. Through interviews and clips of her voice switching, we can piece together all the ways that her baby voice served her outside of the bounds of The Simple Life. Number 1 is coping with stress. In an interview with Glamour, she talks about how her experience in high school was traumatic, and she got through it by imagining the person she would be once she was out of there.
And I created this character because when I was a teenager and I was at Provo Canyon School, it was just so traumatic and miserable that the only thing that got me through there was thinking about who I wanted to become when I got out of there. And then when I got out of there, I started shooting The Simple Life, and basically the character came from that.
Her baby voice allowed her to create a version of herself that was free from the trauma she was experiencing. Number 2 is creating boundaries. Since her baby voice was so tied to her work and her brand, switching between the voices is like an embodied way to create a boundary between work and life.
Like 2 minutes. We're just gonna grab my sister.
Hey Paris, how are you?
Good,
Like 2 minutes.
good.
If your work and your personal life are so linked the way Paris's are, switching between your work voice and your personal life voice can be a quick way to create a boundary between these spaces. Can you relate to this? Maybe you have a voice that you use in the office and a different one you use at home.
I go in his office and say stuff like,
Hi.
And number 3 is fawning. Today, Paris uses her influence to advocate for survivors of violence in the troubled teen industry. And she even recently testified in front of the US Congress about her own experiences of abuse. Since her work has changed, the baby voice no longer serves her in her work like it did before. However, I think she's still aware of how this voice can endear people to her and make her seem more friendly and approachable.
Thank you. I enjoyed our Zoom call, and I love your jacket.
But I think the most important thing is they need access to therapy, counseling, mentorship, and other community-based programs.
She uses her baby voice to make the listener feel more at ease, and then switches to a more mature voice to underscore the seriousness of her testimony. Today, in any interview with Paris Hilton, you will hear her weave seamlessly between lots of different colors in her voice. And that is how we all create meaning and express emotions and communicate shifts in tone. I sometimes read the comments of these clips and interviews with Paris Hilton, and people say things like, oh, she really had us before, or has finally switched to her normal voice. But if you spend more than 5 seconds with any clip of Paris Hilton or go back way into the archives, you will find that she has always used voice switching for all the reasons that I've outlined today. And of course, we cannot forget the most loving way that she uses her baby voice with her baby London.
"Hi, smiley girl."
That's all for today. If you found this interesting and want me to do more case studies of voices in the future, let me know in the comments, and I hope this helps.